Hello, everybody. Thank you once again for tuning into the In Winner Out podcast. I'm your host, John, and today I'm with Natasha. How are you doing today, Natasha?
Doing good, doing better than I hoped, actually.
I'm very happy to hear that. And for everybody who's listening in today, we had some things go on in Binghamton more recently, and I brought somebody on who was willing to share a little bit about the story of somebody that was very important to them that unfortunately had passed away. So, Natasha, we want to give you as much space to be able to share about your friend and about the things that had gone on that you witnessed firsthand. So, go ahead.
Well, we were all planning to meet. I talked to him hours before, saying we're gonna go to the Salvation Army because that's our thing. We go to the Salvation Army and then we have a little drink, smoke a little weed,
Yeah.
and then we go home. But apparently, when we were all sitting down, we thought he was gonna get a hug, but he didn't. So somebody came up to him from behind, stabbed him in the ribs, stabbed him in the neck, pulled the knife, pushed him. He tried to fight, but it didn't happen. He fell on the floor, blood everywhere, everybody running around in circles like with the heads cut off, and then that's what happened.
And it was just absolutely out of nowhere. He was sitting down and somebody came up from behind him?
Yes. Out of nowhere. We didn't know what was happening. We were all joining, laughing about things, and he started giving me advice about life like he always does. He was like a father to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Natasha.
Yeah, his woman was in front of me too. We're all together.
Oh my goodness! And now the Salvation Army has been closed. It's been I think the day after it was permanently closed now.
Yes, it is, because apparently that's not the only thing that happened. Apparently the chef Nick, the guy that makes the food, without him, the Salvation Army was nothing. They kept threatening him, smashing his window all the time. He had to start carrying a weapon because people were threatening him for some reason.
And I've been having a lot of problems. Like last year, selling ice cream, I had some problems. And this year, after hearing some of the things that had happened, I had decided that it'd probably not be the best idea to be on the street corner. And to now know that that's what had to happen for him, a lot of people that I had spoken to gave me advice that was carry a weapon, carry a firearm, and I just didn't want to have to be the ice cream man who carries a gun. I don't think that's a good image. And that's a really unfortunate thing that has to happen. So how are things now that it's closed?
They're trying to do like a little dinner on a sidewalk, but all they do is sandwiches now because Nick he moved away to Appalachian. Now he said that they're doing better. He does it over there because yes, it was too much for him. I stopped eating for almost half a month. I still kind of don't eat as much as I used to because it happened when I was eating. I started going to church dinners because I used to be paranoid someone would come up to me and stab me in the neck.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Natasha.
Yeah, they said I should go to therapy. I haven't done that yet, but I'm waiting for them to call me. I just never thought that before. Yeah, I stopped eating. I just stopped sleeping. I started eating a little bit, thank God, because my mom said if I don't start eating, I would die.
Yeah, you got to take care of yourself, absolutely. Can I give you some advice for therapy as somebody who's gone through a lot of therapy and what I do now?
Yeah.
I use ChatGPT as my therapist. It's just an app you can get on your phone. It's AI, and I talk to it, and it gives me a lot of good advice, and I just speak to it. That's it. You know, you just type it, or you can even speak to it if you'd like, and that's what I use to help regulate my mental health, because I'm bipolar.
What? I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. A lot of people don't. Oh, I've shared certainly a lot about that on the podcast here and some of the other videos that I make, but I am bipolar, and I try. I've been on a lot of different medications, and unfortunately, with bipolar disorder, you have to be on the right one, or else it'll do the exact opposite. It could put you into a manic phase, and that's dangerous for me. So, but that's my advice to you, Natasha, if you would like, because it's free. It's it's tailored directly to you. You don't have to worry about going to somewhere and then going through a waiting list and then sitting down and getting to finally talk to this therapist or psychologist, and then all of a sudden you realize this is not the person that I want to share with. And then you feel like you're stuck in this situation where you spent all this time trying to get to a therapist, and that wasn't the person for you. And now it's like, well, start over, I suppose. And that's, sometimes that's even harder, or it makes it even harder, but it doesn't need to be like that. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Can you send it to me?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I will absolutely. I'll send you the application for or just where to get it. Yeah, it's on Google Play Store. It's on App Store. I'm sure like whatever else. I'm not sure what type of phone you have. Um,
Samsung, yeah, Samsung more G Play.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I hope that's helpful for you, Natasha. Um, so also, with the Salvation Army closing, you said you haven't really been able to eat. Is that because of the Salvation Army closing, or is that just because you've been in a really hard time, or been having a really hard time?
It's because of that trauma.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, it just stopped. The for food, the passion for food just went to a hole for some reason real fast. And I just
Yeah.
couldn't get myself to eat. I couldn't get myself to sleep. It's just I used to stay up nights every day. I have a sleep disorder. I have sleep apnea, but
Oh yeah.
still, you know what that is.
Yeah.
Something else. So it got really, really bad. Like super bad.
I'm sorry to hear that. So after everything that had happened, what's now going to happen with? So you said you're kind of like getting back into feeling comfortable eating after the traumatic event, and hopefully, if you're able to find some solace with ChatGPT, you can find some comfort with that. Um, would you then think that there's better opportunities for the Salvation Army somewhere else, or you said it's in Appalachian now, or what do they do?
Oh no, just a chef that used to work at Salvation Army went to Appalachian. He said it's much better. Even though he misses everyone here,
Yeah,
there's not much he could do now that you know.
because
And
there was a big community of people that went there all the time. I saw a lot of familiar faces because I was right down the street. And it was certain times of the day. I think it was 5 o'clock. They served dinner,
yeah,
and I would always see people that would come through, and they'd be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go get some pizza or whatever, whatever food they had, and then I'm gonna come get some ice cream when I'm done." And it was like, I saw a lot of those same faces. I don't know if I'll see, especially not being on the street now, but I don't know if I'll see those people around Binghamton anymore now.
yeah. Before Tito showed up, he got cremated, and they
Mm.
did not have a funeral for him. They had a show, a viewing, but I wasn't there. But his girl was. She saw it. She said they covered his neck because of the stabbing. They covered his body and neck, and all you saw was his face.
Wow, that's really
So
sad. But it was still an open casket, though. That's at least.
yeah,
Goodness,
yeah.
that. I don't really have good words to put to what's happened. It seemed like what's a solution to stop something like that from happening again? Because it's the consequence of that now. It's rippled throughout everybody in our community. Like yourself, you were right there. Me, that's changed the course of my business for this year. For other people, they might not come back to Binghamton just because it's not something they can. There's no reason to now. So it's shaken us like seriously to our core here. What are some things
Yeah.
that you think we should do to make sure that doesn't happen anymore?
Either metal detectors, checkbook bags, but Jonah, his name was Kevin Ray, but everybody called him Jonah. He used to work with children, family enrichment in JC.
Mm-hmm.
He used to feed them. He was the chef. He was
I
a
did
good guy.
family enrichment. It was like, what was it called? Was that Pal Camp?
No, it was Lincoln School, and then they changed it to family enrichment.
Gotcha. Because I did something when I was younger in the summer that was called something enrichment, and it was also called Pell Camp. And I was like, oh, if that would have been really cool actually if while he was doing that, I was in Pell Camp with him. Um, so there's a problem in Binghamton, as a lot of people understand that maybe. And I've explained this on the podcast a couple times, so maybe there's some more relevance for it, at least from the viewers, for the viewers' perspective. But the police in Binghamton, it doesn't seem like they really do everything in their power, or at least they're stunted in a regard to where they're being held back. Like my personal opinion, and from what I've seen as well, so this is more of an informed opinion, is that there's more that they can do, but they might be held back in some regards. What are some things you think that would be good for Binghamton, Whether it's more police, less police, a change of culture. What are some things that you think this place, Binghamton, needs to be better?
Uh, More housing, less college kids, and because they keep taking all the homeless people's housing, and now they're on the streets. I'm an advocate for the homeless. I'm not homeless, but
Yeah,
I'll die being the advocate for homeless people any day.
absolutely.
Because it's not their fault. Some of
Yeah,
them are mental. It's not their fault.
we have a
Right.
severe mental health problem in Binghamton, and that's probably the root of the issue. And with the culture issues that I see is that people are so upset or they're so dissuaded from wanting to work with people that they're just giving up. And so when they see problems like that, it's not okay. How do we fix this? It's well, there's always problems, and so nobody's going to do anything about it. And that makes the problems worse. But yeah, that's
Exactly.
absolutely true that the college kids, because the landlords, they want the college kids because one, they know that they're going to be, relatively good. There was a fire in one of like 2 years ago, a frat house burned down
Mhm.
because, so maybe that they're not the most responsible renters or rentees or
But they
tenants.
got money.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. So, and that our economy in this area is surrounded by the college, and so everything is about making the college make the area more money. So the more policy that our government implements, or the more businesses that want to work with the college and specifically tailor the businesses towards the college kids, the less that the people that aren't in college, you and I that live here, don't benefit from the place that we live at. And that's not, you're right, that's not
Exactly.
really fair. Um,
No.
yeah,
I
it's,
mean, I'm not trying to down the college people. Get your learning. Yes, whatever. Do
yeah.
good, whatever. But can't you just share with us? I got kicked out of my place twice from college kids. Twice.
What happened? What happened?
Oh, they gave away my building twice to a college kid. They said, "Oh, we want you out." College kids are where it's at with the money. I said, "But we pay you faithfully." No.
So they just didn't renew your lease?
Yeah, they just kicked us out. They kicked everybody out of the building and sent it to college kids twice.
Where was this?
Um, Next to DSS, so Oak Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 112 Oak Street, and then I went to like 120 something Oak Street, and it happened again.
Oh my gosh. And that's,
So yeah,
yeah, that's, oh my gosh. So that's like people make
so I moved to
claims like that, but
JC.
you actually lived that.
Yep.
You have a first-hand account for that. Wow.
Yeah, so I had to move to JC, but now they're destroying my place again. Guess what? For college kids, medical college kids this time.
Yeah, because they just built
Where am
that
I going to go?
hospital. Yeah. That's, well, Natasha, I'll be honest with you. I think things are getting to a point where people are understanding that much that, what are people going to do? If things aren't working for the people here, they're just working for the people that can make money and then, leave in 4, 5 years, whatever it is. That's not doing good for us. How do we change that from with the power that we have, with the resources that we have? What do we do?
I'll start giving college kids everything, and maybe just you can give them things. But can you just have a little bit of a pot set, set off for just like say, hey, this could be for food, this could be for people, this could be college kids, wherever you are. But
Yeah.
set aside a little bit for the people that live here, the people that when the college kids are gone, then who do you have left? And they come crying to us when you need money. Like,
Yeah, and that's what happens in this. That's like every summer. All the college kids go away, and so it's like, the economy doesn't. Surprisingly, the economy here is actually better in like the winter and the spring, or in the fall when it's like prime time for college kids moving in and out. Then
yeah,
everybody's
so
gone
now
for
I
the
have to
summer.
wait for the college kids to move because I can't live in my building because where I live is so unsafe. Drug deals all the time outside,
Yeah,
with needles outside all the time. Not trying to be mean to some of the homeless people because I know some of them,
yeah,
and no disrespect to them.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
like they're taking vacant buildings all the time, and like, come on. I understand. I lived in an abandoned building a couple of times, but
Oh wow, really?
like,
Wow. I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. I didn't live there, I just used to hang out there, but I used to sleep there a couple times.
You have a really good perspective because unfortunately you've gone through a lot of stuff, but I've always liked that you and your sister still have really good personalities that you've gone, I can tell, and you've told me and she's told me that you guys have gone through a lot, but you're still standing. And I'm so proud of you guys. I really am. Whenever I see you guys like walking together, it's like I don't know, like the power twins. It makes me happy to see you guys smile. It does.
Thank you. Well, God wants you to stay strong no matter what, right? I know if you
100%.
believe in God, I do.
Yeah. I think there's more that I can help you with. I think so. One of the things that I'm really trying to do now is bring a lot of what's happened to the forefront of people's understanding. So a lot of the conversations that people need to be having need to be on podcasts. They need to be on TV. They need to be on some type of platform to where people can see and hear from people that are actually experiencing what's going on. You know, from
Exactly.
you're not just telling me some of the things that are going on. You're telling me verbatim like your experience of it. And that is such a rare thing for people to understand because we all hear from people that hear from people. You very rarely, I can't say never, but you very rarely get an opportunity to speak to somebody who's like, well, I don't know what your opinion is of it, but this is my experience of it. And that's I can't say for the fact that I've dealt with things similar to what you have, but I've certainly dealt with things in my life to where people think that my experience isn't valid because they didn't think I could experience something like that yet. And maybe,
Exactly.
yeah, maybe that's something that you can resonate with because people discount who we are without getting to know us first based on appearances or what they've heard about us or just their mood at the time. And that's not really fair. And like you said, for your example, you're literally getting pushed out by the greed of the landlords or whoever who want more money from the college kids versus caring about the people that live here full time, or the whole time. Like how many years have you been in Binghamton?
I lived in JC for 26 years.
Yeah.
Went to Binghamton for a couple years, and then just moved back to JC.
So for yeah, I got you. Okay. So a long time, over 30 years of just being in Binghamton area.
Yeah.
Like you lived in New York your whole life?
I was born in the Bronx until I came over here when I was 7. Then moved back and then came back when I was 9.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah. So you've been in New York your whole life. That's like, you know,
Yeah.
and there's just a certain, we all know there's like a different cut of people for everybody that lives in New York. I feel like for upstate New York especially, like we all know how hard things are sometimes. But even though we might be a little gritty, we might be a little bit strong-hearted and stubborn on occasions, but we care so immensely about our area and what we have. We just don't want to lose it. A lot of people could say that like New Yorkers are like loud or they want to fight or whatever, but we're just so passionate because we just care so much. And
Yeah, exactly. We just want what's ours. I mean, work so hard for it. Can't we just have it?
yeah, and to be pushed around by people simply because they can, it's like the tale of greed is old as time. Human condition allows people to treat others like that because they can focus on things that are not, what they know about people. They just focus on the money. And so that's a serious example of precisely that. I'm very saddened to hear that you've been pushed around so much by people because I can't imagine your landlord is like, yeah, I'm sure. Well, maybe they're thinking like, they're considering your situation, but I doubt they care as much as they should, and I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. We'll take a break for just a second here. Today's episode, as always, all in one of your podcasts are brought to you by Socks with John. On TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, and Facebook, I try to make sock videos every day, or at least I do now. I'm back from my mental health break, and I'm very happy to be back into the swing of things. I have plenty and plenty of socks, over 400 pairs to be sharing and dazzling people with. So, as always, every episode on the channel is brought to you by Socks with John. So, thank you very much. Now, Natasha, Is there anything
Yes.
else that you would like to share with our audience today that would really drive home your message for people? That maybe could even change some hearts, bring a tear to a couple people's eyes, because you certainly almost have so far to me today. So, what do you have to say for our people here today?
Well, I think it's more that if you have problems with someone or if you have problems with mental health, go get checked out, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, if people think it's just for crazies, who cares? At least your mental health would be better than anybody else's.
there you go.
And to care more about the homeless, I mean, my mom always says it won't last. You never know what could happen tomorrow. My mom says you never know if all these people with the cars can lose their car the next day, and then who's walking? They are.
Yeah,
So, like, you never know what could happen. Like, try to help someone. I mean,
that's a great
that's all I
message.
can say.
Absolutely, yes. That to break the stigma of mental health, I always give people space on this podcast and my channel for mental health. I've been through many things on my own end. Uh, 2 years ago, it'll be 2 years ago in November of this year. One of my best friends from growing up and from everything, from school, from soccer, from my business. He was one of my business partners. Had taken his own life, and I hadn't talked to him in 2 years before that, but when I lived with him, while we were business partners, I actually went to his parents' house with somebody else and we said, hey, to his parents, we don't think he's doing well. We're afraid he's probably going to hurt himself. And, 2 years later, I lost contact with him for 2 whole years, and then he did. He shot himself in the head. And I told his parents that he was going to do that. And that sucks. So
Yeah,
much.
it does.
He was such a beautiful boy.
Well, I'm
So
so sorry.
I'm doing so much better about it now, but oh my goodness, Natasha, I was absolutely ruined for the better portion of a year. It was so terrible. Um, myself as well. Back in 2019 in September. So by the end of this year, it'll be 6 years since I attempted suicide. I drove my car
You
into a
said
tree.
you do?
I did. Yeah, I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but um,
I tried to suicide myself 21 times.
oh wow, yeah, I've tried a couple times, but not since my last time. And you know, I think the first time I had attempted suicide or I felt suicidal was when I was like 9, um, which
Oh, I'm so sorry.
that's okay. Um, yeah, I do have yeah. I try not to talk about it too much anymore because I used to be more open about it, but unfortunately, people in my family or just people that I do share. I mean, I don't really care so much about people's perception of me, but when I share it with my family or when I talk about that, they worry so much I'll do it again. So I used to say it was the best thing I've ever did because it got me the help I needed. I went to the mental hospital. I got a diagnosis, which is what we're suggesting everybody do before they get to the point where they feel like they need to harm themselves or harm other people. Like you said, go get
Yeah,
checked
and
out.
no, yeah, no matter what about if you had to work, most people I talk to, they say, "Oh, I don't have Medicaid. I can't do nothing." Yeah, well, I know, but we still rather them say it and like if you can't pay for it, maybe they'll try to pay for it, or would you rather just sit there, smoke, and say, "Yeah, I can't pay for my meds, but I want to kill myself." Like,
Yeah.
take a chance.
There's things you can do. There absolutely is. It's just sometimes it's the hardest thing somebody could do, you know. But it's difficult to say what somebody's situation is without like knowing somebody. So we have to try to apply as much or make as much care available for people to accept or not accept, to whatever discretion they choose. It's important to just give people resources so that they can help themselves at the very least. And maybe that's an underscore of kind of a lot what we're talking about is that there needs to be more resources for people, especially
Even
for
though they don't have money, because that's mostly the problem nowadays. Like I said, I've been talking to people. They said we don't have Medicaid, we don't have that. They're not going to take us. They're just going to close the door on us, and then I'm stuck with a bill.
yeah.
We rather be outside and be whacked out of our mind than to try to get help, even though we don't got no Medicaid.
Exactly. So it's like, how do you solve that problem for so many people without just giving everybody the money for it, or just buying the medication and making it free? Like that's the solution. Obviously, it's like I'm a big advocate for free healthcare. I think it would do
Hmm.
absolute wonders. I'm a huge advocate for mental health as well. I think that we should focus on that, like as a primary goal in this country is to focus on mental health. I think it would solve so many people's problems because a lot of people, and then especially people that are homeless, they're just sick. They're just sick. And if they got the help, they would help themselves so much. But people don't think that.
So they just think that they're dirty people that can't get a job. Most people say, "Oh, go get a job." Well, we can't if there's something wrong with our mind. Give
Yeah.
me a job, I'll do it. But don't try to think you're belittling, thinking that I need to go get a job. I have a mental issue.
Yeah.
I collect a check every month. Did I tell my mom to do it when I was 7 years old to collect the check? No, she thought it was best.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna believe my mom.
And
She's my
that's
baby.
and that's the thing. It's like there's a level of understanding for somebody who is like that's dealt with these issues, but for somebody who's never had a mental health problem or that doesn't suffer from mental health issues, if they see that, oh, you seem like an able-bodied person, it's like you don't understand what goes on in my head. You don't understand how my mind works and what problems stop me from doing things other people could do. But when you try to justify that to people that don't want to hear it or they're not understanding, what are you like, how do you get through to those people? How do you tell them? Like I'm a worthy person. I just have problems. I'm trying my best, or in anybody's regard.
Like I want to be a psychiatrist, but I can't if I don't get my GED. I want to help people, but because I have a special needs diploma, I have to get a different diploma. So it'll take a while for my mind to do certain things, but
Yeah.
I am great at math and science, and I'm great at other things like computers and
Yeah.
electronics.
You know what
So,
I'm a big advocate for one other thing that's kind of a new idea, which is a separation from the institution. I mean, it's not really that new. It's just anti-establishment, which is kind of a big term for not wanting to work with like the government or these big companies that work with the government as well. Basically, the institution is just you know like any body of control, like the government. So you say you're like anti-establishment. That means that there are things that I think that the people can do without government intervention, without government subsidies,
mhm,
without help from the government, but they need to be allowed to. So those things would be like, having lower taxes for people or no
mhm.
taxes for people.
Okay, okay. No,
Oh, what's that?
no, sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. That's
Keep
okay.
going.
Or like just some ideas, but basically what I'm saying is I think that people need to have the resources to be able to help themselves because I don't think that these institutions have the right idea of what we need. So even if they were to try to apply the solutions that we have for them, they might not do it the right way because they at the end of the day, they don't really want to do that or they don't really care enough. So I think that people should take it into their own hands to do whatever they need to do to help people to justify how to influence these communities, positively. So if that means that somebody who is a therapist is going to go and work with some of the homeless people and say, hey, I'm a therapist. I'm not going to give you guys counseling, but I'm going to give you guys information you can use to go help yourselves. Whether that's, hey, you don't have the money for Medicaid, like I've said, go talk to ChatGPT. It's a free app you can get on your phone, and it responds to you. It's a brilliant AI system that has a personality. You'd be surprised. It's interesting, but
Yeah, exactly. I think they should get the homeless people that know us and know what been through to go to like the government jobs, like stuff that we know so they understand how we are, have our understanding.
there should be some type of allowance for a specific group to voice their concerns. And maybe that's just like starting your own group, and you can do that. Anybody can, to say like, hey, we're a group, we're an association of whatever. You can be like a humanitarian organization would be a really good idea. You can do that without having to incorporate. You can just get some people together. You can meet on occasion, and you could have like meetings that are kind of formal. People will take that seriously, and the more you grow, the more you have the opportunity to influence how things are. So if you have 100 people in your group and you say, we're the advocacy, the Binghamton Homeless Advocate Group or whatever, just whatever for a name. Um, we're here to petition the government to do something for us, for our group. We're at least 100 strong, and we represent a lot more people than 100 people. That would be something that people have the power to do, but it's about, eventually they have to accept that, and eventually they have to accept the help to implement a solution. It's not just like starting problems to start problems. Not to say that would start a problem. Advocates for the homeless, that's a great idea.
Exactly. I belong to a group called True Farm. I don't know if you know that True
Two,
Farm, but anyway,
yeah.
it's for druggies and stuff like druggies and how we can make the Binghamton better. The last group I went to, we were talking about how can we make Binghamton better. How can we do housing? How can we do mental health? How can we stop needles on the floor?
Yeah.
So we thought we'd just get boxes and put them in there, put them everywhere. Just
Yeah.
anything to help. That's the group I belong to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's great, actually. I actually went to the city of Binghamton today, and I tried to talk to the mayor in the mayor's office, or anybody in the mayor's office, about how to make this area safer. As a I spoke to him or I wanted to speak to him as a business owner, and I've been trying to get in touch with him for a while. And maybe it would do good to collaborate in some way with some of the groups that are facing the same problems but are advocating for the solutions.
Yeah, well, True Farm. You should talk to True Farm.
Oh yeah, True. You know what? I do have connections with True Farm.
Yeah, we have that group every Wednesday. And we talk about how we get Binghamton better, how we can get homeless people off the street, how we can get people that are druggies and homeless off the street, and how we can better towards them. Not tell them what to do, but just make it a little better for everyone.
The thing is, yeah, I am all for that. That is like the solution this place needs. Exactly that. Like whatever group you're in, I'm going to be contacting them. I'm probably going to see if I can go to a meeting sometime and just get to know some of the people there. Um, because I'm to the point now where I know what we need to do. It's very easy. It's not like these problems are like so complicated that nobody can figure out what we could possibly do to solve them. It's just that the people that are in power or the people that have the jurisdiction are not using it correctly to address these problems. And the reason is there's a lack of communication, which comes from a lack of care, which comes from a lack of consideration. The people in our government in Binghamton, they do not care about the homeless people. They do not care about the people that live here. They only care about the college and the college students that make the most money for the businesses and on taxes. That's the bottom line. And that's
exactly.
If to sum it up in any other way would be, a crude justification of what it would be, as a lie, basically. There's no other way to say it. That's as blunt as I could possibly put it. That's the problem. The focus is not on the people that live here, but it will have to be, because if it becomes such a problem that the college kids are like, hey, how about this? What if it wasn't your friend? I bet you wish it wasn't your friend. I wish it wasn't your friend as well. But what if instead it was a college student? What do you think the response would be like from the city?
Pretty high. Like that college girl that jumped off the parking lot balcony next to Salvation Army.
Yeah.
She jumped off. I don't know if she died or not, but she
did. She committed suicide that same week. It was a very terrible thing.
Apparently she didn't pass her grades. Like, you serious? My friend died for no reason, but you try to kill yourself for a grade? Like, that made me mad.
Well, for some, and that's the thing, Natasha. We were just talking about having hope, or hoping that people were having a perspective that was the clear perspective of who we are. But you might not understand what was going on in her life or her head that wanted her, or that compelled her to go and do something like that. So, just as well, we have to have an understanding for the people that we don't know everything about. We have to at least try. Because for somebody to do something like that, if it was about their grades, maybe they came from a family where they were going to face consequences if they didn't do well, and they didn't want to face those consequences. Maybe they were so stressed out by the, upholding what their family expected of them that they didn't want to face them. But those are only assumptions we can make. So the best we could do is just say, we don't know, but we're very sad, or, it's to make aware that that thing happened and that it's not a good thing, and we should try to, prevent that in the future. But
this is what mental health is really important. In Canada, they have free health care, I heard. That's why my mom wants to move there.
They do have free health care, but it's not as accessible as it could be. So I actually went to Canada 2 years ago in February, and I just drove up there myself. I was supposed to go with friends. They all canceled on me. I said, "Oh, well, I'm still going," so I did on my own. And I got to speak to some people. One guy was actually he lived in India, then he lived in Connecticut, and then he lived in where I was, where I went to Montreal. And he told me about their free healthcare. He said, "Yeah, it's free, but our taxes are so high because we have to pay for it." One, which in the United States that wouldn't really be a problem because we have a huge population and a much larger economy. So our taxes wouldn't have to be what they are, which are almost 60% sometimes. So they when they get their paycheck, they don't even get half of what they make because it all goes to taxes. But then the care that they get, they'll be if it's not like something emergency, like if your heart stops beating, yeah, you'll probably get in the hospital immediately. But if you have a broken arm, you could be waiting a long time just to see a doctor about something that is basically something that should be fixed urgently. So there's ebbs and flows to it. Yes, it's free, but it's highly, or it's paid for by high taxes on everything. And yes, it's free, but it's not as accessible as it should be to everybody. So there's just small problems. Um,
Well,
but that's yeah, it's just what I was told, and that's some information. Um,
that still sounds, I don't know, bad or good, but I don't know.
I
I
mean,
get medicated, so I don't know.
yeah, well, yeah. So I wanted to ask you about that since you mentioned Medicaid a couple times. From my understanding, the Trump administration is trying to cut or reduce Medicaid and Medicare. Is that true?
Yeah.
Has anybody you known had their benefits cut or reduced?
No, he wants to take them all away. He says that we should pay for everything.
So, has anybody been affected by things so far, or just
No,
for no, no, no?
not yet because we're fighting, and my mom says she hates Trump.
Yeah, I do as
So,
well. Yeah, I'm
but
not
we're
a
trying to fight for what we got because I don't care if you have all the money in the world. Just let me have a little bit just to survive. Just a little bit. And, like, it wouldn't matter to you. Just a little bit, you know? You're not going to miss it. Just let me survive too with my family.
yeah
It's not that
billionaire.
bad. Big deal. I'll take a small cut too, just so I can survive.
Yeah. And as a
Like what we
as
do
a
for all of
billionaire,
us.
no, I do not like Trump at all. Hate, I wouldn't say necessarily hate. I don't really try to hold hate for anybody, but there is definitely a realm of anger that could turn into a slight tad of hatred because of some of the things he's done. But I do try to sidestep most of the like national politics. But if things were like directly affecting some people in Binghamton, that is something I would be more willing to talk about. Simply because a lot of the politics that are in like the national scale are very divisive, and I don't want to divide people. I don't want people to be upset when they come watch my video because they're like, well, I think this way or I think that way, and now it's just better to focus on the things that we can have an impact over, and that's local politics, local policies, and the people that we are surrounded by. Um, but yes, I'm worried as well that benefits will get cut, and a lot of people even this is not the time to be cut. This should be the time to expand benefits. Um,
Exactly. Especially SSI, because I'm on SSI.
yeah, it's very
My whole
difficult.
family's on SSI.
Yeah,
My mom used to work, but then she got cancer. She couldn't work anymore.
gotcha. It's a very difficult situation, and after my friend had passed away, I was in a pretty bad spot, and my parents were very worried about me. They actually wanted me to go on SSI, and I was like not willing to admit that I was really having as hard of a time as I was. I was doing Uber at the time. I was doing the breakfast and lunch. Then I think that was a year after. So I was Ubering, and I had to take a break from that because it was just like so hard to keep it together. Like I couldn't even like I was in the car. People were like, "Oh, how are you doing today?" And I'm like, "Oh, I can't answer that question." So I'm just like, "Oh, good." But it's like, "Oh no, one of my best friends, he's gone forever." That's
Yeah.
so. And I was in such a bad situation. Like my parents were like, "You need to like get on disability for your mental health," and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do that." It's like I really don't want to do that. Um, because I just didn't want to admit that it was that bad, and maybe it was, honestly, and it probably was, but I don't know. But yeah, it's a situation that a lot of people are in, but I can't imagine a lot of people want to be in. You know. Oh goodness.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's the past. So we look forward to the future, and there's a lot of things that we can do to accomplish our goals. At least we could try. Maybe not accomplish our goals, at least every single one of them, but we can try. And I'm somebody who thinks that as long as people are working together, then we can get anything done. But that takes some convincing sometimes. If like when I went to the city today, I felt stonewalled that they didn't want to give me an opportunity to speak to anybody about these problems I'm addressing with you today. So I felt like, great, we're not going to get very far with the mayor, who has the complete control and authority over the police, which are people that are also involved in this equation of what can be done to help our area. And then he's also somebody who could help with the policies, or at least with overseeing some of the policies. I could go to city council and we can make a case. There's a lot that we can do. And those are the things that are along the lines of working in the government system that they're asking us basically if there's a way to change things, but this is how you have to do it. If people get so fed up with how the system works that somebody like me, especially when I'm trying to fix things and I go through the process of what I'm being told is the right way to do things, and I still get stonewalled or I still get stopped and prevented from trying to accomplish anything, what am I left to do? And that's what I feel like a lot of people are left with now. It's like, what's our situation, or with our situation, what are we left with? So I guess I'll ask you that in a
Yeah.
certain way. What should we do, Natasha, about this? What's something that you and I and you can encourage the people that are listening to do about this situation?
It's us against them, right?
Oh no,
That's
you
what
don't
people
want to.
say.
You don't want to say that. You want to be able
Not
to.
like that, but not like that. But I mean, is that we should get together and help each other.
Yeah, yeah. We don't want to. We don't want to push people apart or be part of the division.
No, of course not.
But
No, we should all get together.
it
Like,
could be frustrating. It's
okay,
frustrating for everybody involved. But if we're able to come together and say that we're all on the same side, at least about this solution or about that solution or something, or at least if we can all recognize what the problem is, that's the first part. But everybody has to be willing to work with each other, and that's we're gonna have a problem. Like, we're going to have problems because if they don't address the homeless problem, or if they don't fix the homeless, or I guess just help the homeless people, or fix what they need or help them in any way, then it's going to spill over to where the people in Binghamton, or the people that come to Binghamton or sell or that put their kids through college, they're not going to want to send them to Binghamton anymore because of what's going on. They're, oh, it's dangerous at Binghamton or this or that. And then now it's a recursive problem because now it feeds back into, now that makes the economy shrink. That means that we have less resources to handle the problem. So while things are good, before these college kids basically completely take over and everything is only for the college kids, use the resources we have to invest into the local community, and then you can allow the college to continue to grow, to bring Binghamton along with it, but the people that live here are still taken care of. They're not casted aside and then made to become problems for what they're focusing on instead. That's what's going to end up happening,
exactly.
and that's what we need to all realize, that's just what the reality will be. And that's already kind of become the situation. Like, for me personally, like I've said, I'm not going to be in downtown Binghamton this year. I'm worried that a lot of the people that well, because I'm worried that a lot of the people I was going to see would get a bad impression of Binghamton, and then less people are going to show to all the businesses that are in downtown. So I can't imagine it was good news for the businesses back in 2020 when I got jumped. I can't imagine a lot of people were coming downtown. Oh, ice cream man just got jumped. Let's go to whatever business and get some food. So it's everybody's
Exactly.
problem. It's not just one person's problem. Oh goodness. Sorry, I was going on a little bit of a rant there, but
No, it's okay. I just wanted to say, and apparently the homeless people are getting like arrested for sleeping outside. I'm thinking, well, where else are they gonna sleep? Are they gonna sleep at your house?
yeah, when I
No.
was I won't say where because I don't actually want these people to get like their thing. broken up. Somewhere along, I won't even say where. I'm just gonna say I saw it today. I saw it today. It was a couple things. I'm really trying to not describe it. I saw a homeless encampment somewhere, and I was like, you know what? I don't care. That's fine. It's out of the way. It's out of the place that anyone would see it. It's behind something or whatever. And those people need to be somewhere. They need to have somewhere that they can keep their stuff. They can lay their head down to rest. They can feel safe, whatever. And I was like, let it happen. But the thing is, I would only have that opinion because I know how desperate people are. If there was like homeless shelters galore, if they were all over the place, I would be like, no, I don't want to see that. I think it gets to a point where that could become a dangerous situation for people if they're like, it becomes like a ghetto or a slum if it gets so big. Up in Ithaca, they have some places like that. They call it the jungle, which is basically a huge homeless encampment like behind these train tracks. And that's not good because they find dead bodies there. People overdose there constantly because everybody's getting together there. They're all desperate people that don't have a lot of money but might have a lot of drugs and also mental health problems. So it's just a bad situation. But like I said today, after seeing that, I realized, yeah, if those people don't have the help they need, then they're going to help themselves. And if setting up whatever they did wherever they were, to be vague, so be it, basically. So be it.
Exactly. They're not hurting no one, and they need to live too.
Exactly.
Like,
they're not hurting anybody. They're not hurting anybody.
except for that one fire because this homeless guy was cold. And remember about the 2 firemen that got killed. That's because of a homeless person.
I did not know that. And
yeah, they like to start fires underneath buildings, branches, and everything, and abandoned buildings, and that's why most fires happen in Binghamton. I know because most of them I know.
So and that's a whole nother problem, that can be solved by addressing the homeless people and giving them the opportunity to succeed or to change their lives for the better.
Yeah, just think about it now. Those 2 firemen's families are dead because you didn't want to fix the homelessness.
Yeah, and that's wow. I did not know that. I thought it was just like a spontaneous fire or something happened, but oh gosh, I didn't know that. That gives me even more resolve to want to solve this problem. Goodness. Well, Natasha, I think we've talked about a lot of stuff, and I think we got some really good information out. I very much appreciate you having the time to come on and sharing your story and finding the strength to share your story as well with us. I look forward to the future, of course. I do. What's that?
Because I'm just trying to spread his message. He always tried to help, at least the way he can. If he didn't have it, he would somehow find it. So I don't think just because he died, I don't think he wanted the Salvation Army clothes. But then how are they gonna eat like that? I don't think he wanted that. I think he wanted to be careful. But now it's like saying that because he died, nothing good can come out of it. I think somebody should get a place where homeless people still eat in the memory of him. That's what I think.
I think that's a great idea. Natasha.
He wouldn't want that. He loved church dinners. We used to go to them all the time. So I don't think in his name should close it. They should just make it better. That's all. That is
a great way to honor his legacy as well. If anybody is listening and they have the resources, or if they have the gumption, the idea, the motivation to go and do something like this, please comment below so we could reach out to you, because that is a fantastic idea, Natasha. I love that idea.
I just want to do something at least good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. That's making something good out of something terrible, and that's the best we can do as people. So thank you, Natasha, for coming on, for sharing your message, and for being a first-hand account to some terrible things, but still having the strength to tell us how it is. And that's what we always appreciate, telling us how it is.
You're welcome.
And that's going to be all for us today. Thank you, everybody who tuned in to watch the In When You're Out podcast. As always, like I said, I'm your host, John, with Natasha today. As always, thank you very much for watching. Adios, mis muchachos. And until next time. Peace out, guys.